for the last, Shabnam, I think we first called you, 4 months back, I think, right?
Yes. I'm wondering, what did you do about your studies? Because that was not even vacation time. So how have the girls managed this with studies?
And they do a brilliant job at that. So Simran has just finished her MBA and she's joining her new job. Have you joined already or are you joining?
Yeah, I just joined. I just finished 2 weeks at work. So yeah, just getting onboarded and training.
Congratulations, Simran.
Thank you.
I remember
Simran, which
when we
city are
had
you
the
in?
first meeting for this month, I was still in a sweater, which must have been the winter. So I was just kind of recalling that.
So it's not 4 months. I think it's more than that then.
Yeah. Our first meeting was somewhere in Jan.
Yep, that's right.
About the month.
Right. So
So
6
yeah,
months. That's how long you've been working for this day.
Yeah.
And,
So remember, we'd been talking about the World Environment Day, which was 5th of June.
Correct.
And then
we decided that we'll probably have it at a time when everyone's a little more free. And I
yes.
see Charu here. Charu is the youngest participant in this month. Shabnam, Suhela, Rica. Charu is 12, right? You're on mute, Charu.
11.
Sorry?
I'm 11.
Oh, she's 11.
Oh my God.
So we are so proud and happy to welcome you here, Charu. It's amazing to see young people take interest in changing the world. Fabulous. So you guys tell us whenever you feel that everyone's sort of come in, and then Simran, Sharika, Jaita, I guess you guys will.
Yeah, I think Simran, you can start off.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, Sharika is here, and more people are pouring in, but I think we can start. Respect everyone's time. Okay. All right, so let's begin. Hello, everyone. Good evening, good morning, wherever you're calling in from. Thank you so much for being here and welcome to the panel discussion of the Aspire for Her MUN. This is the first time this is being held and we are so excited because we've got the best panelists here ready for you. We've got people from entirely different streams, entirely different backgrounds, and these inspiring women are here to give you their 2 cents, their opinions and ideas on how you can be someone to improve this world. So we're really excited to have you all. And I'm Simran. I, along with Sharika, are the co-secretary generals of this MUN, and we've had the utmost pleasure of hosting everyone here today. So thank you so much for joining in. Let me begin by giving you some of the bios of our panelists and asking them just some simple questions about what has really made them who they are, what inspires them, and what's caused them to reach where they have. So let us begin. Okay, so I'm going to start with Madhura ma'am, only because, she is someone that I have been treating as almost an inspiration mother figure, where she's just been there for all of us this entire year, and it's been so great. So I don't think I can do justice to all of the things that Madhura ma'am does. She's been part of all the events that Aspire for Her has done. But Madhura ma'am, we are here for you right now, and we're so excited. Thank you so much for allowing us to do this. So ma'am, we'd love for you to give us a quick, brief insight into everything that AFH does. And also, we've been noticing recently that Entrepreneury was something new that we have just launched, and has been gaining a lot of traction. So for women to be independent entrepreneurs, what are some of the skills that they could have gained from this 2-day conference? What do you think that they should be taking away, and any other feedback that you want to give them?
Thank you so much, Simran. And it's almost like a dream come true for me. And I'll just first say some thank yous here. First to Shabnam, because without whom I think we would not have been sitting here having this conversation with the United Nations, on this wonderful Sunday afternoon here. We're so proud that they are our partners. And in fact, at the very first session itself, we had them being sort of inaugurating the session and, telling us on record that we do support Aspire for Her. To us, I think that is the biggest ever achievement in the entire existence of Aspire for Her. So Shabnam, thank you for that. Thank you for truly being the wind beneath our wings. And without you, we really wouldn't have reached the stage. Every conversation that I have been having with all the wonderful leaders at United Nations, and we have Suhela here. It's our pride and privilege to welcome Suhela. And I know, Simran, you will do justice to the introductions and all of that. So I don't want to get into that. But it has been so wonderful to work with her and her wonderful team, as we know that this is just the beginning of what Aspire for Her and what UN Women and United Nations in general can do together. We found absolute intersections in our interest areas, and we realized that we were on the right path because we're the babies over here, and we're just trying to ensure that every woman out there has a career aspiration and she's motivated to enter and stay in the workforce. We want to reach out to 1 million women by 2025 and ensure that we add at least $5 billion to India's GDP. So these are conversations that we always have on our platform at Aspire for Her. And we are helped by our fantastic cohort of mentors. Rica is representing all of them here today. And Rica, again, needs no introduction, but it's not only for our model United Nations. We see Rica in everything that we do. Her unstinted support and her fantastic leadership ensures that our girls always have a wonderful figure to follow. So I won't even get into all that we do because all of you know a little bit about what we do over the 5-point mindset change model and how we try to encourage women across all age groups, across all demographics to ensure that they add economic agency to their own lives and to their families. Entrepreneuring, as you mentioned, is our youngest community. We just launched it last Sunday, 2 Sundays back. That community is for every woman who has a dream to have something of her own. It doesn't only talk to entrepreneurs or wantrepreneurs, as we like to call them, women who want to be entrepreneurs. It's meant for every woman who has that spark and who wants to do something, create something, and ensure that she leaves a legacy behind. So for every young girl out there, and we have as young as 11-year-olds here, we request you to look at the concept of entrepreneurship, to build that mindset, and to see whether you want to tread on that path which is less trodden. Because in India, it is difficult for women. And I think UN Women is doing such fabulous work in ensuring that there are more and more women entrepreneurs who actually find the confidence and who find the resources to come in and take up entrepreneurship, make it more aspirational for others. So it is a path less trodden, it is a difficult path, but I'm sure with wonderful partners like all of yourselves, especially UN Women, I'm sure that we will show the light to many new entrepreneurs in India and across the world. So thank you, Simran.
Thank you, Madhura ma'am. That was fantastic. Perfect. So let me go ahead and introduce one of our next panelist members. Ms. Shabnam Siddiqui is the Executive Director at the United Nations Global Compact Network in India. She has been an academic practitioner with 25 years of experience and specializes in developing and executing strategic intervention through multi-stakeholder networks. And she's skilled in training and research and has several national and international publications to her credit. Shabnam ma'am is a great believer and practitioner of collective action, and she believes that the private sector plays a critical role in the attainment of sustainable development goals. She's a wildlife photographer, a biodiversity conservationist, passionate and committed to the holistic development of wildlife and forests. Welcome, Shabnam ma'am, and thank you so much for being here. We have a question for you. What are some of your suggested methods of helping young women identify strong networks around them and gain from collective action? Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Simran, for that introduction. I think the first paragraph was a bit more complicated and the next one was easier to understand, but I guess in time. I think collective action, as we talk about, it is something wherein different stakeholder groups all come together to work on a particular set of issues within a particular time frame for a set of outcomes. And with that, I just wanted to give a quick background, which is not there in LinkedIn kind of an introduction, is that my own, entry into the professional world. So when I finished my first master's in sociology, I come from a very conservative Muslim family. And in my family, I'm the first woman to study. So even my dad had gone up only to graduation. I was the first postgraduate amongst the genders, and of course, then I went on to study much more, which people did not understand. But the idea was between the bachelor's and the master's, I got a good head start. I was living in Bombay from the women's movement there, which inspired us. And I still remember that when I was doing my master's, we had a session on women and legal system, and we had, you might not have heard of her, but there was a very amazing, she's still there, an amazing lawyer called Flavia Agnes, who was one of my faculty. And she had stormed into the class, only 10 courses, and she said, don't let anybody scare you. If you know how to drive, if you have a bank account, and if you're mobile, then you're set to rule the world. And I think I've kept that into mind throughout. Also, one thing that we keep saying, everybody, and like I was telling I have a young niece, a 9-year-old, and she was talking about how somebody, in the playground, some stranger had approached them, the girls who were there. And I've told her that always remember, especially the girls who are doing this entire thing, that be confident in what you're doing, share things at home or within your circles, because it's not that, children are never wrong. Children do not go with a negative mindset. Those kind of things evolve much later when you get into the professional sphere. So as you're growing, as you're evolving, as you're reading, try to imbibe as much as possible and reach out for help. If you think you want to, so for example, a lot of my growing part of life, I thought I had no talent, because in school and college, some of my friends sang well, some danced well, some played an instrument, different creative activities that you think are interesting, that you enjoy, but you cannot do. Some good in drama and all that. I had none of it. Only later, and much later, when I got into wildlife photography, and I'm quite good at it, I realized that creativity has to be explored. So I think those are the kind of messages I would want to give to the girls, especially in this platform, is that keep exploring your potentials, keep exploring your interest, and as and when you require help and support, reach out. We are children of the 80s. So YouTube was still not active at that time. Now, if you have any question of how to do this, that, or the other, the head start you get from YouTube. But beyond YouTube, which is just a technical front and good, I think reaching out to mentors, reaching out to real people always helps, because it does not only tell you about the glitches that can happen, but how to emerge from the glitches and how to convert adversity into opportunity. So that kind of reaching out and that kind of, and something, especially if you don't like if you are not good at a particular subject, try to struggle with that, because life is all about struggle. So the more you struggle, the more you realize where the actual challenge is. It is usually never the subject. It could be a teacher, it could be a timing, it could be something else. So the more you explore yourself, the more you're ready for the world. And then as you reach out, that kind of collective action already happens. Mentors are good. Find the right kind of mentors. I think Madhura ma'am is right here mentoring so many of you. We all are there. Rica is there. Rica can lead you. Like anybody interested in media, Rica can connect you with so many other people for writing short stories, like, you know, taking bites or whatever. So never hold yourself back, because women and girls in general have a hesitation of either failing or appearing foolish. And those two things don't exist. So just forget about them. Ask questions, ask silly questions. At least you'll know that they're silly if somebody else responds to that in that way. But most times you'll realize that those are not silly questions. Not all people will have responses to your answers, but the right people with the right answers will help you go in life a very long way. So that is just my opening statement for now.
Thank you, ma'am. That was great. That was an inspirational story. All right, we can move ahead. So let me go on to give you a short bio of Suhela, ma'am. She has had extensive experience in the management of large-scale transformational programs on women's economic empowerment. She aims to integrate feminist principles and strategies in programs to enable women to recognize and challenge discrimination and gender-based violence as a prerequisite to advance their economic rights. Her expertise lies in the area of program development, implementation, monitoring, measuring impact, and partnership building. Suhela ma'am is also a Ford Fellow and holds a master's degree in public policy from the University of Michigan. Thank you for being here, Suhela ma'am. We have a question for you. What exactly does intersectionality mean to you? And how have you seen this be a part of the programs that you implement? How does diplomacy and public policy affect it?
Thank you. Thank you so much, Simran. And I'm honored to be a part of this very interesting conversation today. I really congratulate all of you who have been so far and for last 2 days who have been discussing like the serious issues that that impact our daily lives, impact our economies, impact our societies. And we do know that you are the future. So of course, how critical it is to have this conversation, not only to understand, to really deep dive into what are some of the challenges in terms of addressing these, but also trying to come up with the solutions that are that people of our age don't think, right? Because we are the children, like Shabnam said, she's a child of 80s, I'm a child of 90s. So that the world has developed so far, and there are various strategies that have come up, which are really, really very unique and very informative and very effective in terms of tackling these challenges. Now, your question is very heavy. The word is very heavy, intersectional and intersectionalities, right? Since last 2 days, I don't know how many times you used this word, but it has deep meaning when it comes to India's growth story, right? If you would look at India, we know that India is one of the fastest growing economies in the world. You would have noted it through its contribution to the world's GDP. You would have noticed it around yourself when you would have seen development coming up in various states and various regions. But what also characterizes India is the inequality that exists. So there are inequalities between the states. There are inequalities within a state. So you would have seen districts which are doing great on development indicators, but within those states, there are districts which NITI Aayog still calls aspirational districts, because there the performance of human development indicators is really dismal. Now you would have seen inequalities between gender, right? We know that despite 50% of the population, women being 50% of the population, their participation in labor force is meager 19% or close to 20%, right? So this is something which is against three important critical elements. One is this is against the human rights of an individual, right? I should not be able to access opportunities just because I'm a woman. I should be able to access equal opportunities despite I being a man or a woman or belonging to any gender. This is something which is a challenge in India, right? The second aspect is this entire sustainable development goal element. You know, the member states around the world are talking about several goals that are key for sustainable development of our world. And if you would have noticed with certain research that says that, you know, if women control income, they spend it back on families, on nutrition, sanitation, education, hygiene, right? Unlike men. What it does is that it creates a ripple effect in terms of creating a next generation, which is healthy, which will contribute to the development of nation. So, you know, so it's very, very important that we address gender inequality. Now, where does intersectionality comes here? When you look at gender, or when you talk about, say, for example, women's participation in workforce, you know, an experience of a woman is shaped by her being at a rural or an urban place, by her being young versus old, by her being belonging to a certain caste or class or religion, or her being disabled or having HIV positive status, or her being coming from backward or advanced state. So all these multiple sort of elements that come together and impact a woman's or any person's access to equal opportunities is an intersectional is intersectional. It's called intersectionality. Now, how do we address this in our programs? And I'll give you one simple example. So if I am a person who is looking for a job, I am staying in Delhi, and I have access to quality education, it would be relatively easier for me. But if I am a Dalit woman coming from a rural area, also affected by, by my age, I'm a little bit older, and I do not have the same educational level, my experience to access that opportunity would be completely different. That is intersectional nature of the issue, that it is further compounded by your lived realities. This is what intersectionality is. Now, if I move forward to see that how we address in our program, as United Nations, we are guided by the Sustainable Development Framework, which talks about leaving no one behind as one of its strategy to reach out to the most marginalized and vulnerable communities. And these most marginalized and vulnerable communities are those who are experiencing these intersectional vulnerabilities. And that is why, as a mandate, we make sure that when we identify target groups, we prioritize most vulnerable communities from India. So, for example, from scheduled castes, scheduled tribes. If we look at disabilities, we look at HIV status, we prioritize rural population, we prioritize those who are in different skills bracket, etc. So that is how, one of the ways to make sure that they are integrated. But again, the programming is based on a human rights-based approach, which also means that communities are also engaged in terms of making decisions and as part of the development of that entire program. And the third aspect is how policy or diplomacy affects it. Yes, the policy, because it is coming from the highest level by the member states at sustainable development goals, the countries have committed to these. So, so the good thing is that the policy is cognizant of the fact, the institutions are cognizant of the fact that there needs to be a strategy in place that targets these people who are facing intersectional vulnerabilities. what we need to do as UN, as organizations like AFH, or people like you who are committing to understand these challenges, is to push and create that accountability so that the institutions perform on their commitments to promote gender equality. And I'll stop here and happy to have any conversation about this. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. That was something new for me too. So I really appreciate it. Thank you. All right. And so our last panelist for today is Rica ma'am. Rica ma'am is someone who absolutely loves sports. She believes that storytelling and sports are her passion and they are her best things to work on. She is so grateful to combine her passion with her profession. And she covers sports because she feels that it is about positivity, achievement, and a power and a tool for empowerment. As a journalist, she attempts to be a 360-degree professional and she wants to know everything that she can about her job and provide back to the system by helping with mentoring and consulting as well. So thank you for being here, Rica ma'am. We have a couple of questions for you as well. Since the Olympics are right around the corner, what do you think is the fact that the Tokyo Olympics is important to India? Why do you think this could help the participation of women and impact women and adolescents in our country and be used as a tool for development? Ma'am, you are on mute, sorry.
Can you hear me now? Thank you very much for that introduction. And I must congratulate all of you for those 2 days of wonderful debating and the fact, I'm just so proud of you girls that you have come up with topics to discuss that concern you, that concern the problems of the day. And, a lot of times I hear girls like you are not interested in politics. Well, while you may not be interested in active politics, this is what makes politics of tomorrow. You playing an active role, an active participation in making the future is what is going to drive you to a better tomorrow. And that is what makes me very proud of all of you, that you are playing a very active role in building a better tomorrow, which probably we are going to see in the next few years as we come out of COVID. Answering your question on the Olympic Games, Simran, it's a very, very proud moment for India because for the first time in the history of Olympic Games, women started participating in 1952, and at that time we had 4 women. Today, the field is 49% women and 50% men. And that's a huge, huge step ahead for women in India. Also, in areas like shooting, there are more women who have entered in individual events than men from India. And when you look at rural India, parts of India where girls are not exposed to too many sports. The traditional sports for them have been athletics, it has been weightlifting, also I would say boxing. In the Five Sisters in Northeast, you see so many boxers. The rings are bursting in seams because women there see sports as a tool of empowerment. I can give you an estimate of how economically it transforms a woman's life once she wins an Olympic medal. Any Olympic medal winner from Tokyo Games, a girl who will go on to win a gold medal, will win 36 crore rupees instantly when she comes back. And that is a huge transformation for a girl who comes from, say, Bhiwani and has boxed in the akhadas and goes on to win a gold medal at the Tokyo Olympics. she will instantly earn 36 crore rupees. And that's a huge, huge transformation. And we've seen such transformation journeys happen over the last few years. We have seen people like Sakshi Malik, who came from a lesser privileged background, went on to win a medal at the Rio Olympic Games, though she's not going to be there in the field to change the color of her medal. But it was a story of a complete transformation. Over the last say 15 to 17 years, I have seen how girls have taken to sports, not just to have jobs in railways and other public sector organizations, but to end up at the podium in the games. And just not the pride of representing and seeing the country's national flag go up on another soil, but also to show that we just don't mean participation. We mean serious business. We mean we are here because we want to win medals. And that's been amazing. There has been a change, a shift in mindset for women. And when you look at Olympic Games for India, it's a massive, massive leap for the Indian women. The other thing, I must mention here, for the first time this year, IOC has allowed nursing mothers to go along with their children. Earlier, sports was considered to be a career not for women who've conceived and had babies, and a career not for mothers. To give a push, in fact, to get out of that idea and to give a push to more women coming into sports, participating, they have given a go-ahead to nursing mothers to go to the Tokyo Olympics and even go with their babies. So, it's an it's a magic moment for many women who will turn up at the Tokyo Olympic Games, despite this fear of COVID. And I would say Olympics, which was, earlier, the person who conceived Olympics didn't think that women would come and take part in the games, because it is considered to be the motto of Olympic Games is stronger, faster, higher, and women were not considered to be in that league. But when you look at the field, not just for India, but for other countries today as well, it's a greater participation of women. The number of women have swelled in the field over the last few years. And for India, it's 49% women this year at the 2021 Games.
Wow, that's so great. I'm so happy to hear that. Thank you for sharing all of that information, Rica ma'am. That was fantastic. And so everyone, these are our panelists for today. I hope you've all got a good idea of each of them and are excited to be in the same room talking to them. I'm going to pass it off to my Co-Secretary General Sharika to take over from here.
Thank you, Simran. And yes, everyone on this panel, your speeches were amazing. I was personally very inspired, and I'm sure everyone on this call is really excited to have you all here. Just a little rundown of the logistics of this panel. I will be directing the question towards one of the panel members, but others, please feel free to jump in after that person has finished their their speech. But please feel free to interact with each other and give your opinions on all the different topics, because we are basically going to be discussing the solutions that delegates have come up with today and yesterday as part of their debate. So we want to hear from women in the workforce, women in journalism, and of course women at the UN about the feasibility of these solutions and how realistic they are. As far as the delegates are concerned, delegates, feel free to ask any questions in the chat, and we will narrow some down if we have time towards the end and directly direct that towards the panel members. With that being said, I would like to start with our UN Women Committee. So our UN Women Committee had a clause in their resolution that included establishing gender quotas for women in backward regions, in sectors that are like in the government, for education and employment. What are your thoughts on the quotas that already exist, and the impact that they have on our communities? And what quotas do you feel are necessary for the upliftment of women, if any at all? And I would like to direct this question towards Suhela, ma'am, because ma'am, I heard you say that it's very important for us to consider that women need to be uplifted for being women, and they shouldn't be given special treatment, but it's that they should be given equal treatment. And quotas sometimes are a huge factor in that debate. So please, let us know what your thoughts are about this.
Sure. Thank you so much. And I think this is very, very important conversation. I will begin by reflecting a little bit on the Constitution of India, which talks about positive discrimination and which talks about affirmative action, right? Which is really nothing but quotas in one sense, right? I personally do believe, and as UN, we abide by, we go by what Constitution of India has placed in front of us. Also, because of the fact that these quotas or positive discrimination is important for women or for all the communities that have been marginalized, historically disadvantaged because of their lack of access to opportunities, because they're just coming from a region which is not mainstreamed or similar kind of issues, right? So what it does is that it brings them to a level playing field with others to be able to jump off from there. So it's very, very important to have quotas, specifically in countries like India, where there are stark inequalities and stark differences in terms of the growth and development in one pocket, for one community, for one area, etc. Now, so if we talk about examples, there are quite a few positive examples, right? We have seen that how provision of having women's participation in local governance processes raise the number of women panchayat leaders or punches now, right? And what we have seen is that the analysis of their leadership has pointed out to the fact that when women sarpanches have taken their roles and responsibilities and have started implementing, their mandate, they have created economic development in villages. So they have invested in sanitation, nutrition, education, etc., the basic requirements. So there is a credible documentation that exists on that. Similarly, if you talk about, women's participation in workforce, if you would look, India and has this, again, this aspect of that, there are only 20% of women, close to 20% in labor force. But out of these 20%, 92% are in informal sector, right? Which are really, domestic workers, construction workers who do not have contracts that provide them assurance, a safety or security assurance, right? Only 7 to 8% are in the formal sector, where all of you aspire to be at some point of time, right? But if you would look at the current scenario, the fact is that there are very minuscule percentage of women in the leadership positions. They are in middle management, they are in lower management, but they are not there in leadership positions. So the government of India came up again with this mandated requirement to have women directors on the board of corporates, right? This has enabled the participation. This has really brought women on the boards, but still we have a long way to go. So in a nutshell, what we're trying to say is that it is very, very important to have these measures in place to enable women grant that level playing field. Moving forward, I think, considering if we limit ourselves, so there are a lot of issues that women are facing, but again, because economic autonomy is something which gives, which enables women to address a lot of discrimination that she faces. I think we need more, we need to start implementing the existing quotas that we have. So for example, for women in boards, etc. But we do realize in India that these quotas are still at a very lower level. So if you would look at countries like Sweden, Norway, etc., they require 40% of their of the women to be on companies' boards, right? We are still very, very far behind that. So I do think that these are some of the countries we should look up to as an example and improve our existing, measures that the government has enabled to improve women's participation in the labor force. That's it from my side, Sharika.
Thank you, ma'am. That is some very interesting insight on the issue, because I know that a lot of people speak about quotas in the terminology of opportunity, but also some people talk about quotas in the terminology of economics and, economic simulation or economic help, so that women have the opportunity to, attend, say, the Tokyo Olympics and, make a living off of it, or have the opportunity to support their family while they're supporting their careers. And so I want to direct a mini question on this larger question to Rica ma'am. Rica ma'am, you talked about the fact that women are allotted a certain sum of money as athletes, and then that enables them to participate in, say, the Tokyo Olympics and other such events. In your experience as a journalist for many years, and as a woman working in the media, what are your thoughts on the freedom that economic stimulation in terms of quotas, giving them a certain sum of money and allowing them that stability? What do you think the difference of economic stability provided by quotas is compared to a quota that, say, allows women more percentage of jobs in a certain sector, or allows them to take over a certain percentage of jobs within the same company?
Thanks, Sharika. Okay, first, let me clarify the figure, the money that I told you, 36 crore rupees on winning a gold medal would be prize money. And that's not the money they would get while they are preparing, while they are getting into the system. When you get into the system, it is a struggle, because to leap from the sub juniors to juniors to the seniors is a massive struggle even in India. So I would say not even 1% of the sub junior girls get into the juniors and then into the seniors. So one of the biggest hindrances for women even today, as 49% of the field is women in the Tokyo Olympic Games for India, is that they do not have access to sanitation. They do not have access to clean bathrooms in the ranges, in the rings, in the fields that they go to. And that's one of the reasons when the girls start out into sports and then they drop out along the way, and dropouts are massive. The economic aspect, the support only comes at a certain level when they perhaps win a couple of medals, or they show that they are meritorious. There is no quota system in sports, or that's something that we would like to believe, that in sports there is no quota. It's absolutely on merit. You are capable of winning a medal, and hence you are picked in the team. When you speak to any federation boss or anyone, which of your team members, of the 15 shooting team members, which ones will win the medal, they'll tell you that all 15 are capable of delivering goods on their day, which means all 15 are capable of winning the medal. So, whether you are a woman or a man, it doesn't matter. If you are not good enough, you are not going to be a part of the team. So the competition there is cutthroat. There is no quota. A woman has to be better than a man. She has to be better than a man at her job and prove every day that she's capable of winning that spot. And that's why, sports makes you that much harder. It asks that much more of you. The rewards are also very, very high. Right now in India, we have certain support systems, because if you are at a certain level, the government supports you through the top scheme that's called the Target Olympic Podium scheme. Then there are these private funding bodies like the Olympic Gold Quest, Go Sports, and several others who will, there's a budget that government allocates for your training and preparation. But if you are training for 300 days of the year, then the government's budget alone may not help you train for the Olympic Games. So that additional 100 days are provided for by these private funding agencies. And what happens is, more often than not, they give them additional support through gear, through funding their travel for competitions. With the shooting team, some of the shooters I know, maybe the government gives them enough money to shoot 60 rounds a day, but to prepare for Olympic Games, they need to shoot 100 rounds a day. So the additional 40 round quota is being filled by these private funding agencies. So all of these support come along the way, but even to have this support, you have to prove yourself and come up through a system that's very hard. And while I give you this rosy picture of 49% women in the field, it's not been an easy journey. You can go and ask all the PV Sindhus. Saina Nehwal hasn't qualified. So 2012 bronze medalist from the London Games hasn't qualified for this year's Olympic Games. So you can go and ask any of the athletes how difficult their journey has been to be a part of that field.
Thank
and
you,
there's
ma'am.
no quota, Sharika.
I understand that. And that actually, I think, really puts into perspective, economic stability and economic stimulation is only provided to women, especially in sports, at a very high level after after being in their careers for a while. And
the other thing I will have to point out here, so the Indian government has come up with the school games. It's been about 3 years now. There is something called Khelo India, which is school games and equivalent of the school and the university games that happen in the US. So the girls and boys who come through the school games, school games model, and they win medals here, they are then put into academies. They are then invested as ones for the future. But even among them, a lot of people we've seen fall out, and only about 1%, and I can give you that figure correctly, 1% make it to the top level.
Yes, ma'am. I would like to direct this to Madhura, ma'am, briefly for any input she might have.
This is such a fascinating conversation, and I think the best people in the country are today in this room discussing this, the best qualified people. So I just wanted to add one thing on the point of quota, and this is essentially on creating an alpha and not necessarily only a quota, which is what some organizations like us are trying to do. Now, imagine tomorrow to be, and I'm talking more from the employment perspective or from the employment market in general. Imagine tomorrow that we have 5 doors which will open up, and we ensure that they welcome lots of people in. Now, if those 5 doors are those ones where our women are more motivated to perform in or are encouraged to gravitate towards, imagine what that will do to the labor market. Because the labor market will automatically choose those people who are more skilled and who are more excited about pursuing those careers. What we try to do at organizations like Aspire for Her is exactly that. So when we talk about women in STEM, when we talk about data science, when we talk about digital literacy, we try to open up the doors of careers of tomorrow so that it's easier for people, easier for women, even without quotas, to actually gravitate towards that as they find those doors that open up, and it becomes easier for them to just nudge up this and Suhela talked about the terrible numbers that we are at right now, and to nudge up that number, because it just becomes easy because you are already skilled. You are thinking about those 5 doors when you're actually going forward. So I just wanted to leave you with that, Sharik.
Yes, ma'am, absolutely. And just a little segue, the reason I introduced the topic of economic support was that we're moving into talking about the agenda for ECOFIN, which is our Economic and Financial Advisory Council. And the ECOFIN this year talked about COVID-19 as a whole. And I know we are all tired of talking about the pandemic, but we all also know that the impacts of this pandemic are going to last for, say, the next few decades. You will be able to see the disservice the pandemic has done to gender equity for years to come. And this question is purely directed towards Shabnam ma'am. Shabnam ma'am, what is your take on the COVID-19 pandemic's impact on the global economy, and especially the slowdown of the 2030 agenda for sustainable development? Because this was a huge part in the ECOFIN's debate throughout these 2 days. So we would love to hear from you, given your extensive background in public policy as well as sustainability and conservation.
Great. Thank you so much, Sharika, for that question. In fact, that is the very question that within the Global Compact we have been exploring over the last 2 months. Global Compact has this annual summit called the Leaders Summit every June, in which we set agenda for the year and we decide what we'll take to the General Assembly in September. And for example, one of the projects that we were leading is called Target Gender Equality, which is essentially setting targets of getting better gender gender equations or gender numbers throughout the business scenario. And when we say gender, we're talking about both men, women, and the other gender. So many a times when we're talking about only women, we forget where women were in India 30, 40 years ago is where the other gender still is struggling. And I think women as stronger partners who have emerged stronger, especially over the last 3-4 decades, it is our responsibility also to take our brothers and sisters from the other gender forward. So target gender equality was what we were talking about. But the kind of reports that have come out globally, we realize that there has been a lot of backlash the professional circle, especially vis-a-vis women. So whether it has been the cut down in salaries, whether it has been the cut down in workforce, whether it has been a lot of other cuts measures that businesses have been forced to take, women end up getting the first cut. And I think those kind of equations have now led us to come up with the program. So we are exploring that, and this year and the next couple of years, we are looking at gender and reskilling. Because what is happening is the kind of, as Suhela also mentioned before, the kind of positions or the kind of work that women are engaged in, even in businesses, is something that they can easily be away with. But if they are more into fields that are extremely essential for the business, then even the board thinks multiple times about taking an action. So I think that kind of gender and reskilling is what we are looking at to take things forward, because women need to come back into the workforce. And it's not only and especially the work from home has taught all of us. Because one of the biggest factors in earlier times was that, as Rica mentioned in her thing, child rearing was such a big part of a woman's livelihood, woman's journey, that she had to take a backseat from work. But even in something like sports, there is new innovative ways of accepting, involving it. So I think those kind of aspirational aspects are important. And with that kind of getting involved with businesses, because we have around 12,000 businesses globally with us, and around 450 only in India. So we are engaging them in conversations of how are they getting the women back, and what is the kind of skill set that is required, and bridging that kind of gap. Global Compact and UN Women has the women empowerment principles, which many companies have signed up for. So comparatively, the losses within the Global Compact members will be lesser because they have to report every year. But beyond that, how does the entire value chain gets affected, and how does the entire value chain, not only the headquarters or head offices of say Coca-Cola's and Pepsi's and ONGC and IOC that get impacted, but their entire value chain, their associated communities, of how it gets impacted there. And this also gets back to what Rica was sharing before. It was very interesting because a couple of years ago, so my core expertise is in anti-corruption and transparency. And I once did a round table, a closed door round table with only Olympiads. So our Olympic players, and we spoke about transparency in sports and sports hospitality. And we ensured that an equal number of men and women came to that conversation. And I think Unmukh was under 18 captain, and he had come. And we had quite a few shooters who were on the ONGC, payroll, who had come, and a couple of our PSUs and other businesses. And they mentioned such heartbreaking stories of the way they are treated the entire continent when they travel to different countries. And a lot to do with the way associations are managed. Associations are political, and it's a completely different discussion that I will not go into. But what we did was, because businesses are accountable to us, we made the businesses accountable to the players. We said we will not take explanation that this chairman of this association has been there for 35 years, because that is none of our business. Why are you paying them if there's bad governance there? And I think within that, the public sector has come together. They have their own federation, and cases are vetted properly, and they are working on policies, and they're sharing those policies. So if they do something nice, they share, because they also want a pat on their back. That is this correct? Are we doing good? Can this be reported globally? Which is good, because most times women's challenges, women's difficulties, and women's economic space is just overlooked. So people are not even biased against them as such, but it never strikes me. And I think that kind of completely being oblivious to women and their economic struggles is where we need to change. And especially in the post-COVID world, because we, like the Secretary General himself has said that unless we really speed up on the gender gap, the kind of achievements that we would have reported in this decade, the decade of action, will not happen. So a lot of momentum has already started. Companies are being asked to send us their gender targets. They've been asked to set outcomes exclusively on gender. So we are kind of following up on that, but still a smaller piece of the chunk of the bargain. But we are hoping that the more we publicize the good part, peer pressure or peer evaluation can help other businesses to come forward. So I think the kind of carrot and stick policy that works for different businesses is what we are aiming at. So gender and skilling and putting issues, putting challenges right in your face type is important, because brushing things under the carpet is something that leads to more solutions in the future. So I think that is what I would like to see on this.
Thank you, ma'am. That was a wonderful way to kind of succinctly talk about this topic. And I'm sure the delegates from EcoFin, really could draw upon their debate from committee and really understand your perspective as someone working on this in real world, and they can, put together the real world application as well as their solutions theoretically. And with that, unfortunately, we have run out of time for this panel. But we would love to take a final picture with all the panelists. I just want to inform you guys if you want to change your poses or anything, but we would love to take a picture with you all to commemorate this event. So just in 1, 2, 3. Okay, I have gotten the screenshots. They have been taken. Thank you so much, Shabnam ma'am, Rica ma'am, Suhela ma'am, and of course, Madhura ma'am for being here. We really, really enjoyed talking with you, and I'm sure the delegates did too. Please stick around for our, and Suhela ma'am has included her email ID in the chat. Everyone on this call interested in the United Nations, interested in careers in politics, please feel free to reach out to Suhela ma'am. Please feel free to reach out to us. Maybe we can help you connect with some of these amazing women. And yes, we are very excited to have them here today. But we will be moving on to the closing ceremony. Panelists, please stick around to listen out for our winners for these awards. But I will now be starting off with just
Sharishka, I think Rica wanted to say something.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Rica ma'am, please go ahead. Ma'am,
it's wonderful. It's absolutely wonderful to see you guys question. Keep questioning and keep being political, because only if we are political, if only women are political, we can change the world. And so keep asking questions and keep bombarding all of us, everyone, with questions. Yes, personal is political, because if the price of petrol goes up and if I am a driver, it affects me. If I'm not being able to breathe pure air, it affects me. So everything is political. So keep that in mind. Keep your questions coming.
Absolutely, ma'am. Absolutely. With that being said, I will be changing the pin order. Again, thank you so much, panelists. We will just be pinning the chairs of each of the committees to come up here, essentially in the virtual world, and talk about their committee debates and talk a little bit about how they, went around their committee proceedings. So I'm just going to reorder this.
Yeah, and Sharika, right before that, I just wanted to make sure that we acknowledge and thank our knowledge partner, SkillSphere, for conducting an amazing training session for all of our delegates and for providing a 6-month free subscription to them with the Global Jigyasa app. We also have a member from the SkillSphere team with us today. We would love to hear from her. Pranjali ma'am.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for having me here. It's indeed an honor to be a part of this fruitful, association. And I'm so happy to have witnessed the entire MUN simulation. And I was a part of, witnessing the panel discussion as well that was happening for the past few minutes. And honestly, it's such a joy to see the kind of, initiatives Aspire for Her is the undertaking, and it's really a privilege to be associated and affiliated with your organization. So thank you so much. And as a SkillSphere represent, I can talk oceans about SkillSphere and what we do. But well, to briefly tell you and introduce you to the company, basically we are a Pan-Asia organization, and we have tie-ups with multiple schools and educational institutions across India and also the Middle East. And what we aim for is we ensure that, students hone essential 21st century skills. I think that is something that's so important nowadays, beyond your scores, beyond your educational qualifications. So that is what we, aspire to achieve. And, we have a range of different programs that we organize for students from grades 3 to graduation. We look at training students for MUN simulations, and we also train students for debates. We have quiz clubs, we have MUN clubs. We also have one-on-one personalized trainings. So we do as much as we can to ensure that, students are making the most of their time during this pandemic, during the lockdown, and just trying to hone their soft skills while they become the best version of themselves. So yeah, that's a little bit about SkillSphere education. And I'm sure students have joined us through the live, and parents as well. So if you want to make your child the best version of themselves, then I suggest you visit our website. We have our website, SkillSphere Education, and we also have our social media pages. We have our Instagram handle, and we're also quite active on Facebook. So if you're interested, you can definitely give us a call or a WhatsApp. We are happy to book a free trial for you, and we're happy to have you be a part of SkillSphere. So once again, thank you so much, Aspire for Her, for inviting me for this, and it's really an honor. I want to congratulate you for a wonderful MUN conference that you've organized, and thank you so much once again.
Thank you so much, Pranjali ma'am. Oh yeah, go ahead, Sharika.
Thank you, Simran. Thank you so much, Pranjali ma'am, and thank you so much to SkillSphere for partnering with us. I'm sure the delegates really appreciated the training session as well as the resources that SkillSphere has provided. That being said, with the culmination of all the training sessions and all the debating sessions, we now have the award ceremony. And I will be starting off with the United Nations Security Council, which is our smallest committee, but our fiercest committee, some might say. I will be pinning the chairs. So chairs for UNSC, please beware. I will be pinning you. Perfect. So Cynthia was our chair for UNSC this year, and I have to say one of the best background guides, a very well-run committee, and very enthusiastic delegates. So Cynthia, I'm handing it over to you, all the inputs you have about how your committee went and how the delegates have done. Oh, sorry, you're muted, Cynthia.
Oh, you're not able to unmute.
It's all good now. Thank you so much. It was like I'm muted by the host, but I'm able to speak right now. Thank you so much, ma'am, for the introduction. Also, what a great panel discussion that we had. I truly, personally, I need to say that it was an honor to be part of this team. It was like actually a very first MUN would include all women, and it's really an honor I'm part of these people. Like I couldn't believe that all these women could like come up with this idea, and it was such a great idea. I just literally like say yes, and I really wanted to be on board since like the very first time I know this MUN exists. I was so excited, and here I am with the amazing people that I met throughout. I'm talking about the committee itself, like as the Secretary General have mentioned before, one of the smallest committee in this MUN, but I'm truly glad that although some of them are first timers, but they are super duper enthusiastic, as in they learn so fast. I was telling them, be encouraged. Let's come up with a better idea. Let's do some innovation, and there we are. We made such a great draft resolution as well. And I hope that all my delegates have learned a lot throughout the time. It was a quiet, hectic, even though it's like three of us, and it was really wonderful to have them, since they also keep like so the ideal of the MUN graphic is that the graphic must be like going higher, as it means that delegates have learned throughout the process, and they really did that, and I'm super grateful that they do that. It means that by the knowledge and experience they improve themselves, and I'm truly glad they did that. So I think without further ado, since I think my delegate have waited quite a while for the awards, so we have 3 awards. First of all is the favorable mention, and followed by honorable mention, and then the best delegate. So for the favorable mention, we have the delegate of Egypt. Congratulations, delegate. Next up is the honorable mention. So this delegate have performed very well. All the delegates have the potential, but this delegate ranked as the honorable mention, since this delegate have shown that the improvement throughout the times, and this award goes to the delegate of Pakistan. Congratulations, Pakistan. And I believe all my delegates at this point have already known who's gonna be the best delegate. So the best delegate award goes to the delegate of China. Congratulations, everyone. That is it for UNSC. Thank you so much. Back at you, Secretary General.
Thank you, Cynthia. I'm going to say thank you so much for chairing, and thank you to all of the UNSC delegates for incredible debate. I will now hand it over to my Co-Secretary General to introduce the awards for EcoFin and
Thank
UN
you
Women.
so. Oh yeah, definitely. Thank you. All right, so we can go forward with EcoFin. Let me find our chair people here. Sharika, can you help me spotlight our chair people for EcoFin?
Absolutely. Just give me a second. Okay, I am pinning them now.
Awesome. I have
Cheers for
Ankita.
EcoFin. For us to pin you, you need to turn on your cameras. Just letting you know.
Yep. So I have Ankita here, and Maithili, we are waiting on you.
Okay, I think
Perfect.
Maithili. Okay, there you go.
Okay, great. Over to you guys. Please give us a few words of how your committee went over this weekend. What were some of your best takeaways? And, who you would love to give the awards to? There you go.
Hi, thank you so much for this opportunity. First of all, both Maithili and I have been very, very excited to be a part of EcoFin because we got to learn a lot while preparing as well as during the committee time. Also, before we get into the details about the committee, I think both of us are very intimidated by the panel that we had today, the discussion. I think both of us are very passionate about the topics that were discussed. So it was a great opportunity for us. With the committee, there were so many ideas, so many enthusiastic minds, and it was a great experience for me personally. I would like Maithili also to talk about the committee.
The committee was actually some really powerful ideas as well as some great people who spoke, and I feel like all the delegates put in their heart and soul when they were discussing all the points. They actually spent a good amount of time just to clear out each detail, and they were able to brush through everything so well. And the document we produced at the end of this session was definitely worth a read. We enjoyed it very much, and the delegates were just amazing. So yes, we're very thankful for AFHMUN to just give us this opportunity.
And without further ado, we would like to move on to the awards. It was very difficult for us to decide the awards. Honestly, we're telling you because everybody just was on fire today. But because we had to do it, so the best delegate goes to the delegate of Bangladesh for leading the entire resolution, for making it out, for being the anchor to the committee. Along with her, the high commendation goes to the delegate of South Sudan for being another anchor in the entire committee. The honorable mention goes to Armenia, and you can continue, Maithili, the verbal mention.
Okay. So usually we're only supposed to have one verbal mention, but both these delegates were so great that Ankita and I couldn't decide between one of them. So both of these delegates are first timers, and they have honestly contributed a lot in both the discussions as well as the resolutions. So these delegates are the delegate of Germany and the delegate of Turkey.
Thank you so much, chair people of EcoFin. I'm sure you guys have had a great time discussing over this weekend, and we really appreciate all the hard work that you've put into the weekend, the background guides, and making sure that our delegates have a good time as well. Thank you so much. All right, so we will go ahead and start on with the UN Women. Let's go ahead and there we have Nethika. Perfect. All right.
Simran, I think you can also highlight Gurnli. She was there.
Yeah, I was
kicked out because of internet issues. So I'll just spotlight her as soon as she's back.
So thank you, Simran, and thank you, Sharika. And I have to agree, the panelists were so amazing. It was honestly such a learning experience for all of us here. The committee, it was such a diverse group of delegates from different time zones, different age groups. Some were experienced, some were first-time runners, and it was a great experience for Gulli and I, both of us. And deciding to prizes, the awards, was such a task because everyone was so good here. The enthusiasm, the energy, and the ideas they brought with them, it honestly made us like, they put us in a dilemma to decide the awards here. However, with like a lot of consideration, we have finally decided to lean back. Okay, so I'll go and announce the awards. And both our sides, we both were really, really amazed as to how these young minds function. And it was like a first time big virtual experience for all of us as chairs too, as executive board members too. So the verbal mention, we couldn't decide on one delegate, and it's shared between delegate of Turkey and delegate of Afghanistan. Congratulations, delegates. The honorable mention is shared between the delegate of Russia and delegate of Pakistan. It was a task deciding between these delegates from different time zones. Some were awake at 4 a.m. in the morning to just attend the committee sessions. Congratulations, delegates.
Sorry to interrupt you, Natika, but I really saw the delegate of Russia like just jump on hearing her name. And I would love to hear from her how her experience was.
Yes, please, delegate of Russia, go ahead.
It was such an honor, and thank you very much, honorable chairs and all the committee in here. It's a really challenging one for me because Indonesia has a different time zone, and but we were trying to adapt with this, and it's such a very inspirative and such a cooperative event that I've ever experienced. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you, delegate. We are so glad to hear from that. Moving on, the high commendation goes to the delegate of Myanmar. A delegate full of amazing ideas who led the resolution and shared some amazing inputs. Congratulations, delegate. Last but not the least, the best delegate has to be the delegate of USA. So sweet, so considerate, yet so stern in the decision. Delegates were amazing. And a special mention to all our first timers, delegate of Mongolia, delegate of Armenia, Cuba, and Ecuador. We had delegates of 12 years of age discussing real life problems, and it was so inspiring. Congratulations, delegates, and thank you for such an experience.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Natika, and thank you for hosting the UN Women organization. I will now pass it on to Sharika to end with our Lok Sabha Awards for this evening.
Just before we move on to Lok Sabha, I want to say, although Gurleen is not on this call, UN Women was the only committee that was led by secretariat members. So Natika and Gurleen were not only chairing this wonderful committee and doing an amazing job at it, but they have also worked for almost a year now to build this conference essentially from scratch. So Natika and Gurleen also deserve a round of applause for that. Thank you so much to both of you. But that being said, we will be moving on to the Lok Sabha. It was very important to us that we have an Indian Parliament committee because we want to make sure that we're also including a debate about the Indian systems and what could be better in our country with our debating style, with our form of creating bills. And this committee was a culmination of that thought process. That being said, Simran, can you help me point out our chair?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's go.
One of our chairs, Vaishnavi, has informed me that she will not be able to turn her camera on. Vaishnavi, that is perfectly fine. Other members, please let us know if you will be able to. Okay, Anjali.
Yeah, we have Anjali out here. Perfect.
Gayatri, will you be able to turn your camera on? Wait. Oh, okay. Okay, Vaishnavi is also unable to unmute, so I think Anjali, all the owners. Oh, okay. Anjali, please start us off with how the committee was, and I will deal with the logistical issues. But please start us off with how the Lok Sabha debate went and how the delegates, engage with committee proceedings.
Yes, first of all, I would like to say that it was such an amazing experience to be a part of AFHMUN, to be in the executive board, and I really consider myself lucky to be a part of this. And I met my wonderful co-chairs Vaishnavi and Gayatri here, and thanks Zoya, Sharika, and Simran to guide us through this whole thing. Our delegates were mostly first timers, and they had so much potential. They were so good together, who helped each other with debating, and it was just amazing. And we had a really hard time to select who to give the awards to, but I will, with no further ado. So the verbal mention goes to Veena Devi and Himadri Singh both. So congratulations, delegates, for that. The honorable mention goes to Manika Gandhi, high commendation to Rajnath Singh, and best delegate to Harshvardhan. Harshvardhan and Rajnath Singh, I would like to say, they have come up with such great points, and their participation was impeccable. It was great. Congratulations, delegates, for everything you said, you did. And I hope that I see more of you in the MUN circuit in the future. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you so much, Anjali. I am now going to try to unmute the other chairs from the Indian Parliament Committee just to see if they can.
Yeah, now I can. Am I audible though?
Yes, Vaishnavi, you are.
Oh, first of all, I'm very sorry. I'm not at my place right now, so I can't turn on my camera. But thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. Actually, I personally had never been a part of an Indian Parliament before, but this was so much fun. And I was very apprehensive because I've heard that the Indian Parliament usually is a very robust committee, and people are very people often tend towards disrespect while talking to each other. But this committee was so peaceful, so deliberate, and they were so cooperative with each other, and the delegates were willing to learn. They were willing to fight through whatever problems they were thrown at. And right from the semicolons to the commas to the formats of the working papers and the resolution that we passed, I saw that they learned in these 2 days and they've improved a lot. And I hope that there's such small kids. Like, we had a delegate who won the verbal mention. She was in the 7th grade, and we had kids from like engineering second year, third year. So like, there were people from all age groups, and I really hope that they learn something out of this MUN, and that this MUN inspires them to do a lot more. So yeah, kudos to them and congratulations. And a special mention to Gayatri and Anjali. They've been amazing, and it's been a wonderful experience working with all of you. Thank you so much.
Perfect. Gayatri, do you have anything you want to add?
Yeah, Sharika, it was a great time working with Vaishnavi and Anjali. Yeah, it was great.
That is perfect. It's great to hear that we have fostered some new friendships as part of AFHMUN. With that being said, I'm again going to reorder things here. And we're going to have a word from our public relations lead, Jayata, who has also been the lead on many initiatives throughout the AFHMUN proceedings. Simran and I personally was very much involved in the committee side of things, background guides, details of the model UN debating process, and then Jayata would bring my high soaring dreams to reality and say, Sharika, this is not feasible. Please stay within bounds. And yeah, so Jayata would keep Simran and I humble. So here is our PR lead for a little bit. So Jayata, please share with us your experience through our AFHMUN, and we're very excited to hear from you.
Thank you so much, Sharika, for that kind introduction. Well, I'll tell you that it was no less a journey for me, because I am sure that I have learned a lot from the two of you. First, I would really like to give a big shout out to our entire secretariat team, who has been working tirelessly for the past 6 months, and they've put together this awesome MUN that you've just attended. from everything, from preparing the registration forms to reaching out to various people, to reaching out to brands to partner with us. This has been amazing. But I would also like to give a bigger shout out to Sharika, Zutshi, and Shreya Punjabi, who are not part of the internal team at AFH, but they are members and they took the initiative to come in and join us on the organizing side instead of, just taking part in the activity. And it is as simple as that. When you are a member at AFH and you see something on our social media, just reach out to us if you are interested to be on the organizing side, just like they did. And I think this MUN would not have been possible without Sharika and Shreya, because they have brought in such different perspectives and such fresh ideas that we have learned from it. And I think Simran would agree to that, because we were actually debating whether we wanted to keep this MUN an all-female MUN, or did we want to keep it both open to all genders. And it was a perspective that we were debating on. And then Sharika came in, because Sharika's MUN she's MUN globally and she's won several awards for it. And she was like, hey, you know what? It's so important for women to be a part of these conversations, and here's why. And when we also went out to see for the statistics, it was completely true. So I am so happy that Sharika and Shreya were a part of this team, and we would love to have more members join us on the organizing side and help us organize such amazing events, which even you have fun organizing and attending. And it was an amazing learning experience for all of us, especially for me, because it was really shocking for me, as I've only attended like one MUN before, but I was on the PR side for it. So it was super shocking that, okay, hey, I'm the PR lead for an MUN, whereas I only have an experience of one MUN as such. But it was amazing. Thank you so much to the entire team for making it so amazing. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jaita, for those very, very, very kind words. And I want to say that this secretariat has definitely been the best secretariat I have ever worked with. You guys have all been very receptive. You all have been very active, and creating a new conference is a very, very rigorous process. And I think we've done a decent job for a first-time conference, and I think the delegates were amazing. The platform, now that we've created this platform, I'm sure it'll be very, very useful for a lot of women who are trying to break out of their shells, trying to get clearer perspectives on global issues, and also trying to enter the debating circles, which for me has been the primary source of how I have been able to sort of, mold my thoughts, been able to communicate that fairly. And I hope to create that platform for other women as well. So thank you so much to the entire secretariat for working on this with me. We will be moving on to the closing ceremony, unless Jaita, I saw you unmuted. Do you have any closing remarks?
Yeah, I think I just want to say one thing is that now that you started your MUNning journey, please do not put a full stop to it. Continue and MUN in as many months as you can, not just the AFH MUN, but the months that are outside, because it will just add on to your experience, and it will just take us one step closer to our vision. So we are in this together, and I think you are what is keeping us going. So yeah, just that's all from my side.
Before you move to the closing ceremony, I am a first-time MUNer. So thank you for having me. Thank you for opening up this entirely new journey and this new vista for me. I'd like to thank all the people who worked tirelessly for the last 6 months across time zones and across lots of other adversities, including getting jobs and internships and examinations and the pandemic and everything. So Jaita, first a huge shout out for Jaita, because she wanted to ensure that this MUN is just not another MUN, and decided that United Nations should be a part of it. So Shabnam and Suhela and every other wonderful supporter that we have now got from today onwards and aspire for her. Jaita, thank you for that. And thank you for being so persistent and perseverant I think that's a skill that all of us, all women especially, need to learn. Never ever give up on a dream. And the first people who actually came up and told me about the month, the first person who told me was actually Zoya. She's one of our young members. So thank you, Zoya, for bringing this idea out. And of course, Gurleen, Samya, Mehek, Naitika, Namrata, Shreya, Sharika and Simran, you guys have been wonderful. And thank you for educating me. Thank you for opening up this new door for me. So sorry, I interrupted a bit. Sharika, please go on with the closing ceremony. But wanted to also thank Anuradha, the person behind our entire new marketing strategy that we have come up with. She came up with beautiful creators, and we just loved seeing them on social media. We hope all of you go and see them and interact with Aspire for Her in many other different ways. There are so many other exciting things happening that I can't even begin to tell you about them. Please follow us on social media and interact with us. Find out new opportunities of finding your voice. Thank you. Over to you, Sharon.
Thank you so much, ma'am. That was, thank you so much for your input. Thank you so much for recognizing our secretariat. And thank you so much for your support overall. Madhura ma'am has been incredibly receptive to all our ideas. And Jayata has done an incredible job of making this Model UN conference true to its name and, all for all women, by all women. With an incredible twist of not just being another Model UN conference. But that being said, I will hand it over to my co-secretary general, Simran Shah, for the closing ceremony, because she is my partner in waking up at odd hours of the night, since we are in this time approximately. So we wake up at 5 a.m., text each other, are you coming for the meeting? So she's my partner in that, but no longer the last time. So Simran, I will honorarily bang the gavel for you. Please go ahead and declare the conference closed.
Oh yeah, thank you so much, Sharika, for allowing me to do that. It has been a wonderful experience so far. And I cannot even begin to tell you all how excited we were at the beginning of this. And now that it's ending, I can't believe it. And I'm already thinking, next year we want to do this, or we want to do that, or we should be adding this now. And I'm already thinking of that. I think it's going to be great. And I hope to see you all again, when we do another version of this event with more reinforcements, a lot more research, and a lot more effort into everything. So thank you all for being here. We really appreciate it. I hope you've taken back a lot from this 2-day conference. I hope you've learned something new. I know I have in the past hour itself. And it's been early learning for me and Sharika. We've been up at 5 a.m. and, just been listening to some great speeches today. So it's a great way to start my Sunday. I love it. But perfect. Sharika, I think we can now, there we go. Yeah. You want to do it together or?
You say it, I'm just honorarily here.
You're just going to bang. Okay, great. So as the co-secretary general along with Sharika, I now pronounce debate closed.
With that being said, delegates, debate has been closed. You are free to leave this room. The closing ceremony